I wrestle my friends. Like, I was a very active kid, and he's like, what in the world? How are you not paralyzed? How have you not been hospitalized?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Two Thumbs Up podcast. Grateful for you here today. I got my dear friend Kristie Lunt. She is one of my favorite yoga instructors. And I've known Kristie, how many years? 20, 15, 20? A long time?
At least, probably like 15 years.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for you to come on the show today and talk about some of the things you've experienced and learned and different things. But
Sure.
So where did you grow up?
My childhood started actually in Salt Lake, like in Riverton, like where Redwood Road ended, so did Riverton. And we were like the second to last house on the street. So that was childhood. But then my parents got divorced. So by it was sixth grade, I moved to St. George and lived with my mom. So like my growing up years, like high school and all the things I did as far as that goes, a little bit of Dixie College, now Utah Tech. You don't say Dixie. Yeah. But that was my growing up years. And then I got married, and I've basically just been back and forth between Salt Lake and St. George ever since.
And you have how many children?
I have four biological kids. My twins are Maddie and Kenna, 22.
Yeah, mine are Maddie
and Kenna. Jackson and Joss are still at home with me. And
Have I met those boys?
I don't think you've met my babies.
I don't think so. I know the twins. Yeah, because they came
they
into
have
treatment.
stuff. Yep. Yeah. So Jax is 15, Jocelyn's 13, and then I have my bonus kids, which Addie, Lily, and Raya, and they are all right in the middle of my bigs and my littles. There, smack dab inside. So yeah.
So you've had, and one of the reasons, several reasons. I love what you've done for yourself in your life, and the things you've learned, and things you share, and how you've embraced yoga and a lot of other, trainings that we've been through.
Yes.
But I want to kind of go back in time a little bit. And you have, and one of the reasons, I've worked with you some is because of your neck, odontoideum. And odontoideum is a non-union, right? Of parts of the upper cervical spine, C1 and C2, right?
Correct.
And so I'd like to, because that's been a thing in your life.
Oh, it's been a huge thing in my life.
And you've shared with me how much you've learned from that. But kind of go back in time when you first started recognizing that you had
something was wrong.
Yeah, something was up.
Yeah. Well, just so you guys understand, if you take C2 and what's the bone that grows up?
The dens. The
dens.
Odontoid process.
And C1, and your head rotate around it, right? So this thing didn't grow. Yeah. So my C1 would flop and flip everywhere, but nobody knew this. So the very first moment I will never forget, we were at the sand dunes on a ward camp out. And I was like 5, maybe 6, and because I was a brilliant child, I had myself buried face down towards the sand, but I was like right in front of my parents. And my sister or my brother, I don't remember who it was, thought they'd be awesome on the 3-wheeler and be like, check me out. And they wanted to ride in front of my parents. Well, they ran over me in that process.
With the quad,
with the 3-wheeler
back there, the 3-wheeler.
But it was in sand, so literally just like I was literally burying myself. So I'm face down, and it just went boom, like it just like smushed my face, and all was over. Like it literally wasn't an injury, no blood or broken bones. But I'm riding on the back with my dad. I'm pretty sure, and I had my arms around him. And when he changed the gears, because I'm old, these were the gears you had to manually change.
Yeah,
my head would go like this, and I'd be like, ow. Well, ow. But I had no pain anywhere else. But I was very aware that this one spot hurt.
What did it feel like? Did it feel like, for you, it was just normal.
I thought it was normal.
But if C1, first cervical vertebra, and it literally slips forward. We have tons of vascular tissue, tons of nerve tissue. So did it feel unstable?
As a child, I'm pretty sure I was on the go 24/7. Yeah. So whatever was going on up there was normal to me. Right. And the next time I remember, I used to have a lot of hair, and I had busy parents, and I was the end of many children. So I would do my own hair. And I would, something as simple as like brushing my hair, like I'd brush a snarl out, you know, pop my head because it pulled too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in elementary school, like it happened multiple times. I would go to school and like, oh my gosh, my neck hurts like so bad. I'd have to put like my head down on my desk. Sure, my teachers were saying a prayer of gratitude that I was not talking for 5 seconds, but it hurt so bad in elementary. I would put my head down.
Yeah.
I'd wake up a million mornings and be like, oh, I've got a kink in my neck again. Like, and I just thought that was normal. I didn't complain about it. I wasn't like telling anyone about it because it had never been any different for me.
Right.
And so it was actually in middle school, and I was being treated for some minor scoliosis. I just shot up really fast was all. And my big sister, I was like, you just rub my shoulders. They're so sore. So she's rubbing my shoulders, and she would do this thing where she'd slide her thumbs up my neck to the base of my skull. And she got to the top, and my head would literally fall off. Like it would just flop forward. And I was like,
it's kind of an unstable thing, like, or
but
whatever.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
and I had, like, when she did that, I had no control. It literally, my head flopped forward.
And if you look it up on, there's a thing called Google. You can look this up. But you literally, if the occiput is lifted, right, off those condyles, and the dens isn't there, right, there is this, it drops off of.
Oh, it literally felt like my head fell off. Yeah. And I said, hey, I was like, that feels so good. But will you not do that part where my head falls off? Like, I literally was like, that part doesn't feel good. She's like, Kristie, I didn't do anything. So she did it again, and my head fell off. It like fell off. Clearly, it's attached. So luckily, I was seeing that chiropractor, and I'll never forget. I went and I said, oh, hey, and by the way, my sister did this thing, and I thought I'd ask you because it felt really weird. And he's like, that's odd. We need to take an x-ray. So we took an x-ray, and with less than a month, I'm at Primary Children's in surgery.
Yeah.
Like, he saw that, and he's like, oh, how are you 14, 13? I'm dance, I'm sports, I'm all over every playground that exists. I wrestle my friends. Like, I was a very active kid. And he's like, what in the world? How are you not paralyzed? How have you not been hospitalized? I'm like, I don't know. So I end up at Primary Children's. They took the bone. I was 13 off the back of my hip. This is way old school.
Yeah.
Put it in my neck, and they wired it all together.
And I can see because I've seen the x-rays, the ones we've taken.
It looks like MRI. A bread twisty.
Yeah, there's all this. I can see it in my mind's eye. And so they wired, essentially, they stabilized your upper neck.
They fused it. Mm-hmm. But it didn't work the first time. So I wore a neck brace for 6 months because, you know, being a teenager isn't hard and awkward enough. I thought I'd wear a neck brace for 6 months, right? And
I complained about having to wear headgear for my teeth at night, right?
Hopefully that was only while you were sleeping.
Yeah.
But then, so they redid it because the soft, I'm sure I was too active. Even with the soft neck brace on, it's not like I stopped. I was just like, well, like I said, wear a neck brace and get real sweaty with it, whatevs.
Right.
So they redid it, exact same procedure, but the second time they cut my artery. So I was...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was induced for 3 days into a coma.
What?
Because I lost almost all my blood.
So they're harvesting bone off your pelvis.
And they cut an artery. Because they cut the same scar open. So I think in my mind, and now that I know what I know about bodies, think of how much butts you got back there. All the attachments, you got all this meat up attaching right at that crest. So my heart goes out to him. I actually feel bad, but yeah, they cut an artery, and then of course it retracts and it pulls back into all the muscles, and they had to dig around. I remember waking up, they were stabbing, my veins were collapsing, and I woke up with bruises all over my hands and feet.
Because you were bleeding.
Because I was bleeding out. And they were like,
holy Kristie, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I remember that. And it was a crazy, semi-conscious experience that I still to this day can't forget. And then I woke up and I got to wear that hard collar for 6 more months.
This is your 14, 15-ish. Yeah. Well,
I'm at 9th grade was when I was in the 2nd grade one.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, hello. Nice to meet you. It's so bad, but it's history. Yeah. And it worked the second time. So it's been few since I was 15 years old.
So, I mean, you went through all of that, and you know, I look at it this way, because you've shared this with me too. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I have learned so much from that experience, and having the neck that you have, And I've talked to other people that have been through health-related things, and almost always it catapults them into really taking a deep look at oneself. And so I would love to know what you've learned from your neck, so to speak. Yeah.
You could say a lot. We were talking earlier before I think this started or whatever, and you're like, some people, they learn from their bodies. And I will be the first to call out my oddities or my weirdness. I remember laying in bed as a kid, as a teenager, and I would have conversations with my body. I'd be like, I remember I used to get chronic bronchitis once a year, and I got it. By the third year, I said, this is enough. It was my junior year of high school. I'm like, what is going on? I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to hack up a lung every year just before Thanksgiving and have to take the medicine that tastes like nails. This isn't working.
Tastes like what?
Nails.
Nails, yeah.
It tasted like a rusted
metal.
nail.
Yeah.
I don't know what the medicine was, but it tasted like metal. And I'm like, I don't like this. So what needs to happen? And I just start talking to my body and having a conversation. And I would say very much with my neck. It was the same thing.
Obviously it came innately, that talk, that communication.
It did.
So you felt like, oh, I get to communicate with my body. Yes. And you did it vocally, internally? How did
Internally.
Yeah. It
was always like an internal conversation, and it'd be like, even as a young kid, I knew, I rarely, if ever, got sick until I got older, and until I, in my belief system, started processing hard things and letting my body take the brunt of it. As a child living in my happy la land that I lived in, I never got sick. My older siblings would get sick, and I would sneak in the fridge and I would taste their bubblegum medicine, because I'm like, I wish I could take medicine ever in a day, because I never got sick. And so I didn't really, back then, what I learned in hindsight was I was barefoot 24/7. Drove my parents nuts. My dad was constantly clipping skin off my stubbed big toes. My feet were filthy. I came home looking like an orphan child. I look back and I'm like, no wonder my mom was like, what is wrong with you? I came home, I'd pull bugs out of my pockets. I'd go catch frogs in the ditch. I wanted to be immersed in all the things that I could feel and experience, but I didn't realize until way later in life that was me keeping myself calm and balanced and connected.
That communication that you started when you had bronchitis, you're like, I'm gonna talk to this.
Yeah, that was the last time that I had bronchitis. And
so, do you feel like by having that open dialogue with yourself, did that change your immune system? Possibly.
Yes. I think I got bronchitis again, as an adult, maybe in the last 20 years, but that consistent 3 years in a row at the exact same time. And my takeaway from that particular moment was I just needed more rest. I was in high school and I was on drill team, and I had a boyfriend. And I had lots of classes, and I worked all through high school, and my sleep was maybe 5 hours a night.
Yeah.
And my body was like, no, thanks. If you want to know how to make this go away, you need to sleep more.
So innately, again, you received that answer.
Yes.
It wasn't outside of you. You received it from inside of you.
Yes.
And then you acted accordingly. Yes.
Yes. Sometimes, and sometimes I didn't. But yeah, most of the time I didn't. And I truly never got that chronic bronchitis again.
And so, if you have a neck like you have, and you actually don't pay attention to it, maybe there was times early on after you even got it fused where you didn't pay attention to it and you had a result.
Yes.
Pain, discomfort.
No doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt. And honestly, with my neck personally, it was more of an emotional maturing teacher than it was a physical one.
How so? What'd you say?
Prior to the surgery, I just went and did all things that I could possibly do. My movement was not limited. How I interacted was not limited. And then a year later, and while I'm still growing up, it affected me in a big way, because all of a sudden to this day, I can't, I drive with mirrors. I don't checking my blind spot requires me to lose a hand off the steering wheel so that my shoulder can come across so I can actually see my blind spot.
Right.
So I have learned to drive with mirrors, but that awkwardness of turning, all of a sudden, everywhere I go, are you okay? Does your neck hurt? What? You're moving kind of stiff. Is there something I can do for you? And it's like, it's that obvious. Like, I can't see it. I've become accustomed to the way that I move. It's now my natural way of being, but everyone can see it from the outside in. And so I just had to, again, young age, learn to accept I look different. I don't fit in. And that seems so small, but it was a constant.
Was there anything that that self-belief that about what other people are seeing, did that affect you in any way?
Yeah, it's just that those growing years where you're like, I want to be like everyone, I want to fit in like everyone, and I still did. Like, I do have a deep sense of self-love that I am certain I was born with. I don't know. I had great parents. Yes, I had the same ups and downs of childhood and divorce, and nobody lives a perfect life. But I have a very deep knowing that I am loved. And that always won, but it didn't stop the questioning or the wondering or the wishing, but it kept me like level. It kept my confidence and my self-esteem intact, even when I felt awkward and weird and different. And I made drill team in high school, and it's so silly, but again, you do like a turn and a PK. Gosh, that was like 100 years ago, but you have to turn and you have to like spot and your head whips around. And that was one of the greatest gifts, making that, because I never did like ballet dance as a kid, but it kept my head turning side to side. So movement. Very consistently moving my head. And then I actually became a gym junkie. 9th grade, I was introduced to my first step class, and I'm pretty sure I've never looked back.
This is what I love. So, and this is this is so cool to me, that because of your situation, it actually propelled you to do things you may not have otherwise. And I'm not saying you wouldn't have, but it's a high likelihood. Yeah. You did. I'm going for this anyway. Oh yeah. Despite having, because I don't even love this word, but I'm just going to use it because, you were born with this. And other people, and the word's disability. And I have a friend named Roberto, and he's got cerebral palsy. And he's got significant cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. But the guy just friggin' goes for it. Like, he just got recently married. And he's just, it's like, I've learned a lot from just seeing him. And so that's what's super interesting to me is, and when someone has something like this, like, well, how did that propel you? What was it it was a rocket. It's like rocket fuel potentially. Yeah. I think what it did is the surgery itself made me pull in. I felt limited, and I was definitely dealing with just hormones and depression and being a teenager, right during puberty too, right?
Yeah, like it was really horrible timing. And it was just my neighbor that she didn't want to go to the gym by herself. She's like, Kristie, will you just come with me? I'm like, sure, let's go. So I went, and I was like, oh, I can move again. Like, I got there, and a step class did not cause any pain to my neck. It didn't, I don't know. And the movement felt so good. Her name was Shelly Howard, and we went and did our first step class together, and it changed my life. And I think that was my awakening from, I don't have to sit and be still, because that was depressing in and of itself. I was a very active kid. And then they're like, don't move for a year. And it was hard. Like, it was awful. And so to go to the gym and be like, oh, like, I can still be active. It just looks different. Yeah.
And so, moving forward in time, you have this, and you've had life experiences and everything. And, what have you, what are some of the really essential tools that you use you mentioned grounding, being outside, and all. What are some of your go-tos when life is sort of lifing, and maybe you're having a health-related thing, or maybe you're having there's relationship things all over the place, or a kid thing, or what are some of the go-tos that you do?
No doubt about it. My first go-to always is something physical, whether that's yoga, going for a walk, being out in nature. Like I like to take my kids and drive up the canyon, like anything. But if it's intense, you will see me at the gym. Like my kids have even gotten to the point where they're like, "You want to go to the gym, Mom? Having a hard day?"
Yeah, like
we're good. If you want to, if you need to go take an hour.
Melanie will say to me, "Have you gone to the gym today?" I'm like, "I get it. I'm going right now. I'll see you later." You know.
But no matter what, yoga is my number one.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Especially if it's uber stressful, crazy emotional, and my life does get very intense and has been for many, many years, it's yoga.
Yeah.
Yoga is my number one. Yoga addresses all of me in every way, and it somehow can magically do that in 75 minutes or less. It's
fascinating to me because I started my yoga journey, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever. And, and you've been an integral part of that. And, it's interesting to me that what my belief system about it was to begin with. And I hear people say this all the time. Oh, I don't go to yoga because I don't stretch well. And I'm like, and now that I've done it for so long, because that's what used to be my belief. I'm like, I'm a
very common stereotype,
a white guy that can't. And it's like, it's not about that. I have learned so much about me and how I move in space and how I hold myself and be through movement. Right? There's a word I love about. There's a word, and the word is movement, but when a mother first feels the movement of their baby in the womb, the word is quickening. And I've always loved that word, but because it implies to me that in that moment, the mother realized that there's a physical being it goes beyond the cell division and all that.
But the quickening is the knowing.
The knowing.
It's a recognition. There was a sensation, and all this knowledge just went boom inside of me.
Yeah.
So I can see why you relate that to yoga. I can 100% see how that relates to yoga.
And then it also how it dissipates the energy you described. Say your kids are like, "Hey, Mom, you gone to the gym today?" Well, I'm showing up in a way that they see that I'm not my authentic self.
Yeah.
And if I go there and I simply move, I quicken, I go for it. I come. It's transformational. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually very interesting. So I was telling our friend over here on the camera that I taught right before I came.
Hi, Taylor's behind
Taylor.
here. Yeah.
Hi, Taylor. So, but I was her. I said I taught a class right before I came.
Yeah.
And I always make my playlist typically the night before, and so I'm like, what am I feeling? Where am I at? I'm not like the week ahead planner. I don't have a format written out. I just am like, where are my feels? What's going on? Because I'm a true believer that I can only show up as I am. I can't plan ahead because I don't know what's going to happen the morning of or the night before or who's going to call me and upset my flow. So I am very in the moment. That's how I'm going to show up and teach in my class. And last night I kept thinking about vibrations, just vibrations. And I'm like, the tone of my voice is a vibration. Ujjayi breath is a vibration. We as beings are vibrations. Colors have a vibration. Light has a vibration. Everything is a vibration. And when we come into yoga, and this is what I was, we start in silence. And I was like, guiding him into Ujjayi. And I was like, feel your own vibration. I can't create what you are currently creating. It is unique. It is only you. Become familiar. This is a sound. This is a vibration that your body needs. It craves. When you get stressed out, it's literally begging you to breathe, to know that you are present, to know that you don't need to go panic and fly off the handle. Or if you are sad or scared and you hold your breath, it's begging you to breathe. It needs you. It needs your vibration to be present so you can stay in the moment and not lose it for whatever reason. And then we add in sound. We add in music. And how does this vibration affect you? What's happening within you? The tone of my voice, the words that I speak, how does this resonate? Can you find room to bring the vibrations together, right? So that it's like the symphony of vibrations. And can they all work together? Or do we have like something's out of key or something's off tune and it's hitting you the wrong way? What can you do, right? And you know the process of yoga and the energy and how it builds. And
Sure.
and I've got to tell you, like I found this song and pulled it out and see, and it was gotta get it, go get it. Emmett Fenn. That's all I can tell you. But it changed the entire room. They're smiling, they're laughing, their energy just went through the ceiling. And again, it's just a different vibration. How does it affect you? How do you move and interact in life, not just on your yoga mat, but when a vibration comes into your space, how do you then respond and show up? And after that big, high, happy yes, Karina Barama something Fortuna, it's like, gong, 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 gong. And it's this huge, like, fear, massive, loud, like it changed the tone completely. And they literally, like, right? And I was like, see, it happens
Like,
just like that. It's okay. Breathe. Come back. This is where you practice your breathing, your vibration, knowing self. You have fear and sadness and anger and darkness. You have joy and light and love and good. All of these things are part of you. Learn your vibration so you can stay grounded, stay centered.
Isn't it interesting
You know?
how the word practice, I love the word practice, because practice implies not perfect.
Yeah.
And however, it's practicing, it's being open and willing to make mistakes. And that's one thing I love about yoga, because I move unlike anybody else moves. And that's one of the reasons I close my eyes, because then it changes the dynamic for me. I'm not paying attention. I'm paying attention to me, because eyesight, there's all kinds of things happening, and it can be a distraction. And so,
absolutely,
and to move with one's eyes closed, with cues, and with music, and with self-love. You know, we went through this training in a long time. Yeah. You remember that summit stretch day, right? Oh, yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's the first time I felt truly like a butterfly. Yeah. Because I had this opinion that men can't be butterflies. Oh,
stereotypes.
But there's that was my belief. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm
and a very common belief.
Yeah, but when I discovered I'm a butterfly that day, yoga has also assisted me with that. Yeah, so movement, breath,
being the butterfly,
slowing down. Yeah. Seeing one's own flow, and how is that? And knowing all the things, the way you teach and the way you show up, but as you take all of that information, that wisdom you've gained from doing this, how is that? And then when you have rough spots happen in life.
I've had a few. How
does that assist you in learning from those experiences? And it's like what do you do with that? All this new information, because I can think of hundreds of ways where life keeps lifing. I mean, I could tell you something right now that we're dealing with that would make your head spin that I would never thought would happen. And I'm like, thanks for yoga. Because I went today and I'm like, okay, I literally, and I say this to myself, there's things that come up and I'm like, I'm laying, and for lack of better phraseology, this is just how I see it, I'm laying this at the feet of the great master, because I don't know what to do with this, because I want to control it or fix it or make it okay or this, but I'm like, this is beyond me, right?
Yeah.
So it's like this word we've talked about before, it's autonomic. There's internally, innately, physiologically, 95+% of what's going on with us is autonomic.
It's happening without us thinking, trying, making it
happen. But what happens when you become conscious about it?
Exactly.
Yeah. What's been the result? for you?
Well, that's the magic of it for sure. And I, when I look at my yoga practice and the way that lives, I will say the greatest to this point, I will say lesson that I've learned through the practice of yoga is the acceptance that I'm not even designed to, it's not my purpose to, it is not my job, able to fix and or control anything. Not even like my greatest love in life is being a mom. And I've had to let go. Even what makes me happiest as a human, I don't control. I can't fix or make right. My kids get to have experiences and I can't stop it. I can't turn off the pain. I can't turn off the sadness. I can't hug it and make it disappear. I can do all sorts of things to ease, to soothe, to work with, and support, oftentimes butt heads. I do have teenagers, but I have to trust. I have to trust. I call it trust the process.
Trust the process.
And what's the process, people say? Well, I don't know. What's your purpose? I don't know. I'm still working on my purpose, but I trust that this space we live in was created in love. And whatever experiences we're having is because we are loved. And it's a gift to be here and to breathe through it. And so when you say, well, what's then the purpose, Kristie? If 95% is autonomic, what's the power behind turning that on and being present? Those are the moments that I find the quickening, as you called it. That's when I say, I'm willing, I'm open, I'm listening, teach me. And it's in what happens in yoga. I think sometimes we forget that these bodies we have, when I say I am fascinated with bodies, I am not kidding. I think they are a stunning creation. Everything from blood vessels and muscles and bones and joints and eyes and hair and height and short and all the shapes and sizes we come in. Bodies are fascinating, absolutely fascinating, but they are also very dense. We are dense. Like we can't walk through a wall. We can't walk through glass. Like we are a dense being. We have to move things out of the way. And yoga reminds me that while I'm grateful for this body that I have and it serves me so well and I love it so much, it too gets in the way if I want to go beyond my physicality. And some people are very happy in their physicality and that is enough for them. And it's not a comparison, but what yoga does for that quickening is it works that physical denseness so much that it goes away for a minute.
And as someone, as I know for myself, but I'd love to hear what your experience, as you step out of your physicality, I like to tell myself that as I step out of my physicality, it is the key that opens the door to my spirituality.
Absolutely.
And so as I let go of that and become the butterfly, as I am the butterfly, there's healing. Like I literally feel different with my cells. I can measure my blood pressure, my heart rate. My heart rate just slows. And there's a physical experience, and this has happened autonomically because I'm choosing in to being me.
Yes.
And so, as you share these things, you have just like when you were little and you started speaking to your body and having this conversation, you trusted that it would heal. You brought the word up, trust. It's such an amazing word, and it's the truth. I mean, you had this surgery on your neck, and they fused it all, and you just trusted that it would heal.
Yes.
It just, in its most optimal way. And
I really did. I didn't put two thoughts into it. Not two thoughts. I just when can I take the neck brace off?
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
You took action.
There was no fear. I remember even they're like, Kristie, they cut your artery. Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. When are we going home? My body, I've always known my body is fine. My body's going to be okay. It is, it's the things that it's teaching me.
Yeah.
That, and that's exactly what you're saying.
Love it. And
then
you step out of that physicalness into the authenticity of you.
Yeah.
How have you seen that heal your body? Obviously your neck. How about your relationships, or how you show up as a mom, or how you've shown up in your relationships, or really heavy stumbling blocks that you've shared with me?
Yeah.
Like, because of your consciousness about your body, it has given you tools to.
So I think there's a couple of things worth pointing out. First, and this is interesting, I've watched this reel, and I watched it again yesterday. So obviously it puts these things in because I like them and I watch them all the way through. I don't know the guy's name, but he says, see, the thing about trust is not something that is gained between two people because somebody voluntarily shows up in their space. Trust happens when an individual is vulnerable enough to ask for help, to ask for support, to ask for assistance, and then see how that person shows up, if they show up, how they show up. And trust is built by vulnerability and asking for that. So when you say, how is yoga or my body taught me? Well, I trusted my body all my life. I learned that a long time ago. My body is strong. My body is healthy. It thrives well on its own without me having to try very hard at all. It is just, I came that way. But learning to trust and have those conversations and say, hey, I don't understand what you're doing, to self. I don't understand, why do I have this constant pain? Why aren't you sleeping at night? All these things, right? So I had to start asking self for help and build trust in that process that I can't see and I can't touch. And I probably sound like a crazy person to a lot of people that are like, go to the doctor, honey. Like, you're going to be fine, right? And that's okay. I'm cool with that. I'm okay. I accept that I might sound a little quirky and offbeat, and that's okay with me. But it really went deep. When you say some life experiences, I have, it's not like it's a secret. I have 2 divorces behind me. And one of those exes, I have a working relationship, open conversations. We can reach out and talk and handle things as needed through life. Not that it's perfect or we don't have our bumps, but that communication line is open. I have another ex that I have a lifetime protective order from. Through both experiences, I felt more emotional and mental pain, struggle, disconnect than I have ever experienced. Like, so much that I would look at the person on the planet that I would least ever want to connect with, be around, listen to, feel any of it. And I would never wish it even on that person. I would not wish that experience on my worst enemy. Even in one of those divorces, I was pregnant while getting divorced with my youngest. To be alone and pregnant and have 3 kids at home. I remember I had a vibration to my cry for the first time in my life. I was, 30 at this point, 30-ish. And it was the first time I remember actually hearing myself heaving sobs. I had never cried like that in my life. I didn't know that part of me existed. But even in that darkest moment, love never left.
So what would you tell people, and I love that, what would you share with people, not from advice, just from your own wisdom? Because there is a lot where, people have had a long history of this neuroplastic belief of self-loathing. And you innately have had this love of self. And so, what are some of the things you would share with people to assist them in seeking that self-love? Because we talk about emotional healing, mental healing, physical. It's all the same thing as one steps into self-love, love thyself. And in that moment, we literally have a different physiological response. What would you share with people that are really stuck in that self-anguish? because you've emerged from some heavy places.
I have.
So what would you share? What's some of the key principles?
Number one, sit with yourself. Like, learn yourself. Be curious about yourself. Be willing to feel yourself. Meditation. Have a seat.
Communicate with oneself. To ask oneself questions.
Yes. It's very easy to get caught up in the conversations in our head, through lots of therapy that I've been through. Rumination. It just ruminates. It just
neuroplastics.
Stirs.
Boom, boom,
round
boom,
and round and round and round. And that's emotion. It's emotion. It's energy that's moving, right? It's just moving. So I say, sit. Just sit in it. And the more recent divorce that I went through, it took me, there was about a year. Most people will say, how did you get through that? And there was some therapy that I chose personally on the side that worked for me personally. But more than anything, I tell them I took a year off. I was home, at the gym, or with my kids or at work. I had no life.
Yeah.
And I very intentionally did that. I cut myself off. My family would literally knock on my door and show up and make sure I'm okay, because I didn't go anywhere. I didn't socialize. I didn't go to dinner with friends.
So you reconnected with the fundamental pieces of your life.
But I also pushed my own life and choices to a space that I basically left myself without an option but to do that.
Right.
And we always have a choice. We always have an option. So I don't want to take that away completely, but I went really far in a direction that did not work. And I stopped listening, and I wanted to control, and I wanted to fix. I wanted to make all things better. And I put in that effort at the cost of self. And when I recognized that, I sat.
So you simplified.
I sat with myself. Everything left my life, and I sat there, and it was not pretty. It sounds like easy. Oh, just go sit down. Let there be quiet. I am telling you, if you are in chaos or constant pain or that rumination of self-hatred, it's movement, and you do move through that. You go through life, you do things. Turn off all the sounds, disconnect from all the people, and take a seat and just be with it. It is the hardest thing I ever did to really feel and come back to, what do I know? What's going on? Why am I in this space? Yeah. And physically, and I think I told you this, my iron, when I left, and all of a sudden I'm exhausted. Now, mind you, for about a decade, I am running at about 200% 24/7. And for the last 5 years of that, it was enveloped in a lot of abusive situations as well. So what it took, again, my physical body, strong. It did not let me down. It did not skip a beat. My heart was suffocating. My mental capacity was literally falling apart more and more every day, but my body held strong. The minute I got out of that situation and I was on my own, just me and my 2 kids, for the first time in my life at 40 years old, I wasn't sharing space with anybody but myself, my 2 kids. I'd never been on my own in my entire life until that point. And my body recognized. It went, oh,
it's time for me to
finally, I can breathe.
And what happened?
I just find myself exhausted all the time. And I work from home, thank goodness, at this point, but I'm not joking. I sleep. I would go to bed at that time about 9 p.m., wake up at around 5 a.m. That's a solid 8 hours of sleep. And then on top of that, I was taking 2 to 3 20 to 30 minute naps a day. I was so tired. And I remember I went to get a physical. I'm trying to get into therapy and blah, blah. And they sent me these labs. They're like, you need to come in and have this looked at. And I remember, but my mental health I wasn't present enough to follow through.
Right.
So it was like another year, and my iron got down to 3, and I had nothing left. But I recognized that was my body finally stopping. It finally recognized that I was going to be okay. My mental and emotional would eventually come back, but my physical no longer had to be strong for me. And it took a big, giant pause for almost 2 years. Yeah. Almost 2 years to get my iron back.
So
in check.
Again, you go through mental, physical things, or mental, emotional things, and the physicality is there. And and how many times I've seen this with people where they'll end up in a health crisis after they've been through a divorce or a heavy emotional
life
things.
Event. Yeah.
But the body is there. I mean, it shows the resilience, but it also shows me that those aspects of our life are perfect partners.
Yeah.
And they look out for each other, and it makes the body one. Because at every turn, every thought, every impulse, every feeling, there is a physiological, biochemical, and endocrine response, and all kinds of things, whether it's vasodilation or vasoconstriction, or all of these things are happening. And one of the things I love about these conversations is to emphasize the idea that we are not just physical beings, that we're not just spiritual beings, we're not just mental beings, but those 3 aspects of our lives in concert create life. And I would love, and it's actually the epitome of healing, to recognize all of them and keep those 3, that triangle balanced. Yoga. Yeah. And so, and I love that. And you've taught me many things. I'm super grateful for how you show up, and you've inspired me in my life, and your experiences are super interesting to me. And so I'm super grateful you came on the show and shared your
kind of a random human around here.
Well, that's that's the story. I mean, I have this dream that sometimes, some way, in some place, everyone will get to share their story. Maybe it's not on a podcast, but I like to dream of what I would call the Akasha, where everything is recorded and everybody's life is so valuable. Their story, their experience, their wisdom, the way they have walked life is divinely unique, unlike anybody else's walk. And as we begin to see one another as art forms, literally as art, movement, all of the things that how someone shows up in life, whether even if it's heavy, and I love what Alan Watts talks about this, where you meet someone and they may be angry, and the thing he says inside of himself is, I love how God has come on today. Like, oh, that's wisdom. Because as soon as someone cuts me off in traffic, I'm like, I love how God has come on today. Right? Like, okay, they're just having a day like everybody else is having a day, and it's assisted, that sort of thing. And so all the trails you've walked and the things you've done inspire me. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I have to say the feeling is very mutual.
Yeah, we've walked some roads. So anyway, I love you.
Thank you. Too.
Thanks for watching the 2 Thumbs Up podcast, guys. We love you. Kristie, thanks for coming on the show. Taylor, thanks for assisting. We will see you next time. Love you guys. Thanks.
2 thumbs up, baby.